Hey guys, what's up? Ryan here with Top Notch Persona. Welcome back to the page. In today's video, I actually want to talk about something that I don't really talk about on this page. So I talk a lot about the internal factors, things you can do to be more successful, to be more stylish, to get compliments, but all stuff that's internal. Today's video, I want to start talking about the external and how you can appear more powerful to people. I'm actually thinking about doing a whole series on this because it's definitely appropriate, especially if you want to be successful and develop a professional persona. If that sounds good to you and you want to see that, let me know down below in the comments. But in today's video, I'm going to be giving you 4 ways to appear more powerful. Right? But before we get into it, remember at some point today, give this one a thumbs up. Remember to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell if you want to stay up to date with my content. Alright guys, let's talk about power. Let me say that in my opinion, I think that the majority of power is perceived. Probably 85-90% of power is perceived. So what I mean by that is that people that seem powerful, whether they're businessmen, CEOs, whatever the case, they just appear powerful. They just know how to play the game of power. So they're not necessarily millionaires or billionaires. If you are, check out my Patreon. The link's down below. Consider supporting the channel. But I would say the majority of people who seem powerful simply just seem powerful. They're not actually incredibly wealthy yet. They're probably all striving for that, but they're not there yet. So that's one important thing to keep in mind, especially if you get discouraged about power and how to attain power. And some people think like, oh, I have no money, so how am I going to be powerful? Well, the good news is you don't actually need it. All you need to do is watch this video, find out these tips, and just learn how to play the game of power. First way to appear more powerful is to be conspicuous. That is to stand out. I know, big shocker. I mean, that's what this page is all about. But the thing is absolutely true, right? A lot of people these days, a lot of guys, they just, I don't know why, they tend to dress down. They tend to like to blend into the crowd. Just dress very basically. T-shirt, jeans, nothing incredibly special. And that's actually a huge mistake, especially if you're looking to attain power or appear a bit more powerful. Because if you're just another face in the crowd, that's all you're going to be. Nobody's gonna think you're powerful based on, the way you look, the way you're dressed, because the way you're dressed isn't special. So in order to be more conspicuous, I would suggest, obviously, as a suit, a sports jacket, a waistcoat, the whole 9 yards. And especially if you're in a crowd of people that aren't typically dressed up. So I know with me, my usual crowd is not dressed up like me at all. Not to say they're not striving for success, they're not trying their hardest. They absolutely are, but they don't dress like me. So when I'm around them, it just elevates me. If you work in Wall Street or something like that, a place where you're around other people who are dressed up all the time, you have to get a little more creative and figure out a way to appear more conspicuous. So maybe consider wearing a buttonniere, one of those flowers on your lapel, or a pin, something along those lines, just to add a little bit of flair. Because it is better to be noticed, even if people don't like the way you're dressed and it's controversial. It's better people notice you than for you just to be another face in the crowd. Second way you can appear more powerful is by remaining stolid. That is to say, don't show any unnecessary emotion. Now think about it. I mean, obviously you don't want to repress who you are and repress your emotions. That's not healthy. But when it comes to power and appearances, you don't want to seem overly emotional. You want to seem calm all the time. You don't want to be fidgeting around. You want to kind of have just a stoic expression, like just, that you're calm, that you're ready to take things in as they come, that you're objective, right? A lot of people, like you probably know, perhaps a boss figure or somebody, and they get very emotional, get very angry, or yell, or make a big scene. And what that makes me think is that their power is tentative, right? Their power is not solidified power, right? Because they're overly emotional. Their emotions are all over the place because they're trying to make sure people know their place. So definitely don't be like that, right? Be like, think about some of the greats in history, like Marcus Aurelius, like Socrates, like Plato, like keep your emotions in check, because the more mastery you have on your emotions, the more powerful you're going to appear, and the more ultimate power you're going to get. Third way to appear more powerful is not to talk more than necessary. That is, don't talk for the sake of talking. I feel this kind of has to go with the last one about keeping your emotions in check, having mastery over your emotions. But you don't want to get in the habit of talking too much, right? Because if you talk too much, your words aren't going to have as much value, they're not going to have as much impact. And honestly, a lot of what you say probably isn't going to be as thought out and concise as it could be. And to appear powerful, you absolutely want that conciseness. You want to have your words succinct. You want them to the point and powerful when you say them. That way, people are going to be on edge. They're going to be waiting for you to talk because they know you're smart. They know what you say has a lot of value. There's a lot of boss figures out there, and they tend to just talk and talk and talk. They tend to socialize, bring up their family lives and all that. And showing vulnerability is never a bad thing, of course, but too much can be. And talking is probably the prime way to expose yourself, right? I mean, sometimes I know when I'm talking, I tend to say things almost subconsciously, because when I get in the zone of talking, really, I don't even remember probably 50% of what I say, because I'm just in the conversation, right? So that's natural. That's probably always going to happen. But the thing is, you want to make sure that when you're talking, when you're speaking to somebody, your words have value, right? And if you don't have any contributions to the conversation that are good ones, are apt, then just don't. Then listen and think about what's going on before you come out with your own opinion. The fourth way to appear more powerful is to choose your words carefully. So a couple weeks ago, I actually put out a video on how to speak like a gentleman, like 3 ways to improve your speech. And I talked about not swearing that much, the speed in which you speak, and the tone in which you speak. And all of those are very, very important, but words especially. Like, you need to choose your words very carefully before you speak them. And this kind of goes to to what I just said about not speaking too much, because if you don't think prior to speaking, you're gonna just say whatever. You're probably gonna use basic language. There's going to be a lot of words that probably don't make sense or don't fit perfectly. That's why you got to think before you talk. So let me give you an example of what I mean by choosing your words carefully. So say you need to ask somebody for help, which is inevitable. People in power need people. They need help at times. Nobody's a lone wolf and can do it 100% on their own. But listen to this. Let's say you ask somebody for help. You go to them and you're like, "Hey John, can you help me out with this? I'm a little confused about what to do. I'm not sure what to do. Can you help me out? I'd really appreciate your opinion." Right? What does that sound like to you? To me, that sounds like the way an underling would ask their boss. Right? Like, "I don't know what to do. I'm clueless. Can you come help me out, please? I'd really appreciate it." But what if you asked like this? "Hey John, let me get your insights on this issue I'm working on. I think I know what's going on, but I'd really appreciate your feedback." See, it's a little bit different. So you might have a little white lie in there if you really don't know what's going on. But by framing the question in a way that's like, let me get your feedback, I'd really appreciate it, it sounds like you're more powerful. It sounds like you're actually the leader. Like, you don't necessarily need John's help, even though maybe you really do. But, you know, it sounds more professional, more like, you know what's going on. You already know what's going on, but because you're a nice person, you're going to include John in it. Whereas the first one sounded more like John was the boss, John was the leader, and you needed his feedback because you were clueless. And obviously, if you're trying to appear more powerful, you never want to seem clueless, right? So choose your words very carefully. What do you think, though, guys? How do you try to seem more powerful to people? Do you have any tips and tricks that I didn't mention? Also, let me know if you'd be interested in me doing an entire series on power and just like social interaction and stuff. I know when I was younger, that was probably my biggest issue, was just communicating with people in a normal way, right? I used to get really nervous. I had trouble public speaking. It was really bad. And for me, obviously, I found style. I started really working on myself, which then helped me in turn, with the socializing part. But I do think it's very important. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more material on power and communication. Alright guys, but if you haven't yet, give this one a thumbs up. And remember to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you're enjoying my stuff. Also check out the Patreon page, especially if you're already a millionaire and you want to help support me with the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Alright guys, but remember, when you look and smell your best, feel your best. And that's what matters.